discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve resolution R2644 by roll call vote?
Director McLaren?
Yes.
Director Hernandez? Yes. Director Urasic?
Yes.
Director Martin?
Yes.
Director Paris?
Yes, motion's carried unanimously. We're on resolution R2645. Go ahead, Arden.
Thank you. So this is for 1 acre foot per year for Mr. Daniel Tripathi, and this is a single family residence that would have an ADU and landscaping that includes trees and plants in the West Antelope sub area. And we found the risk of material injury to be negligible. And this was also unanimously recommended for approval by the advisory committee. Any questions?
Any questions of Arden? None? Okay. Hearing no questions, is there a motion to approve resolution R2645? Kathy, did you make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? Second by Angelica. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the motion of approving resolution R2645 by roll call vote?
Director McLaren?
Yes.
Director Hernandez?
Yes.
Director Urasic?
Yes.
Director Martin?
Yes.
Director Paris?
Yes, motion is carried unanimously. We're on item C. Go ahead, Arden.
Thank you. This is for Miss Maria Zamora for 0.7 acre feet per year for a single family home with trees and some farm animals. And we found the risk of material injury to be negligible. And this was unanimously recommended for approval by the advisory committee, but they did have some questions about the extent of future trees and removal of junk from the property. Any questions?
Any questions?
None.
None? Okay. Is there a motion to approve resolution R2646?
I'll move.
Motion made by Carolina, second by Angelica. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the motion to approve resolution R2646 by roll call vote?
Director McLaren?
Yes.
Director Hernandez?
Yes.
Director Urasic?
Yes.
Director Martin? Director Paris?
Yes, motion's carried unanimously. We're now on consideration and possible action on transfer applications. And Arden, go ahead.
Thank you. So the first transfer is from AVEC to LA County Waterworks District 40. And this is for 2,594.07 acre feet, a one-time transfer to fulfill lease obligations. And so this is a transfer that we have a similar one about every year. And for this transfer, we could not evaluate the material injury analysis. This is because LA County has said that they're really pumping at capacity and they're using less than their production rights, imported water return flows, unused federal reserved rights while pumping at capacity, and would need to drill more wells in order to really pump more and use the transfers from the lease with obligation with AVEC. And, you know, with each annual transfer, we look at water levels in the area, and we do see that water levels have remained stable in surrounding USGS monitoring wells. That also, we note that this isn't an area where there is subsidence, but we have seen with LA County pumping at capacity, water levels in the area are stable, and they're not intending to significantly increase their production unless additional wells are drilled, which would require their own material injury analysis. The advisory committee recommended that we change the language in the last paragraph, which we did update, and the updated version is included in the board packet to really say that because the points of extraction for the transferred water have not yet been identified, a material injury analysis cannot be conducted. Todd Groundwater recommends the approval of this transfer on the condition that LA County Waterworks may not recover this transferred water until it identifies the points of extraction, including any viewpoints of extraction, and a material injury analysis is conducted, and if necessary, mitigation measures are required to prevent material injury are developed. And so we made that change. And so with that, are there any questions about this application?
Any questions?
No, just a comment. I appreciate the feedback from the advisory committee. I think it was very helpful. And, as you noted on that, the new well production this is an area we just got to really focus on and understand, when it comes up, what the impact is to that portion of the basin.
Yep. Agreed. We're good. Is there a motion to approve resolution R2647?
So moved.
Motion made by Derek. Second by Angelica. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the motion to approve resolution R2647 by roll call vote?
Director McLaren,
Yes.
Director Hernandez. Yes. Director Urasic,
Yes.
Director Martin. Yes. Director Paris.
Yes. Motion's carried unanimously. We're on item B, resolution R2648. Go ahead. Arden?
Thank you. So there's the next two transfer applications are between Burroughs 300 A40, who has property and wells in the West Antelope sub area that he's no longer producing from those wells. And then both of these transfers are going to different recipients. One has the name USAMOD Project 1 LLC, and the other one just has the name USAMOD Project LLC, but these are different recipients. So for the first transfer, for Burroughs to USAMOD Project 1 LLC, this is for 1 acre-foot per year of permanent production and 15 acre-feet of one-time transfers of 2023 carryover water. And this is for a planned battery storage project. We confirmed that the carryover water for 2023 is available, and we could not conduct a material injury analysis because there's not an identified point of extraction. Any questions about this application?
Any questions? Seeing there are no questions. Is there a motion to approve resolution R2648? Motion by Angelica. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Carolina. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the motion to approve resolution R2648 by roll call vote?
Director McLaren,
Yes.
Director Hernandez. Yes. Director Urasic,
Yes.
Director Martin.
Yes.
And Director Paris.
Yes, motion's carried unanimously. Did we figure that out, Holly? Thank you. We're on item C, resolution R2649. Go ahead, Arden.
Thank you. So this is a transfer of 1 acre-foot per year of permanent production right, 25 acre-feet of one-time 2023 carryover water. Also confirmed the water is available. There's no point of extraction, and USAMOD Project would need to intervene. And I think I forgot to mention that also USAMOD Project 1 LLC would need to intervene. So with that, it was also recommended for approval by the advisory committee. Are there any questions?
Any questions of Arden? Hearing no questions, is there a motion to approve resolution R2649?
Motion.
Motion made by Kathy,
I'll second.
second by Carolina. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the motion to approve resolution R2649 by roll call vote, please.
Director McLaren, Director McLaren. Kathy, can you unmute yourself?
Yes. Sorry about that. It was giving me
Okay.
difficult.
No problem. Director Hernandez? Yes. Director Urasic?
Yes.
Director Martin? And Director Paris.
Yes, motion's carried unanimously.
Rob, do you mind if I just have a follow-up, counsel, on this one, or just a question?
Sure.
Do you mind?
No
So,
problem.
two separate LLCs, right? So
Right.
I know it's noted that they have to, have separate applications, and just, this is probably not the first time this has happened, where it seems like it may be an entity that has different LLCs, but applying, and we've had that same fashion.
We've had that before.
And
Yeah.
handled it the same way.
Handled it the same way.
Okay, great, thank you.
Very good. Anything else? We're on item 10, consideration possible action on monitoring well application, Angel Show by Arden.
Thank you.
Bye.
This month we have 10 monitoring well applications on the agenda, all to be approved under Resolution R2650. These 10 monitoring wells are requested by Waste Management for the Palmdale landfill. They were required by Lahontan Regional Water Quality Control Board, and they will be used to define the groundwater levels and the flows at the landfill to evaluate the influence of the fault on the groundwater flow. The groundwater pumped is expected to be less than 0.25 acre feet of water a year. The advisory committee and staff recommend approval of all 10 applications, and happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Any questions? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve resolution R2650?
I'll second.
By Angelica, second by Derek. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the motion to approve resolution R2650 by roll call vote?
Director McLaren,
Yes.
Director Hernandez,
Yes.
Director Urasic,
Yes.
Director Martin, Director Paris.
Yes, motion's carried unanimously. We're now on item 11, administrators report.
Thank you, Rob. Just want to give an update on the request for staff to look into an interest-bearing account for the WATERMASTer. Staff is currently working with different banks, and we were hoping to have something this month, but we were unable to get all the information. So we are still working to get that information, and we do plan to bring that back to the board in September and have a discussion with the board and get your direction. And then, let's see, update on our administrative activities. We currently have assessed the delinquent charges for the replacement water assessment, so we're collecting those fees now. There weren't many. And then our newly seated board member will participate in our first meeting, so welcome, Angelica. We are currently collaborating with USGS for the extended contract. We do have a signed contract with USGS. However, we need consensus from the different agencies to approve the funding. So we're just waiting to hear back from them. So hopefully in September or October, we will present that contract to the WATERMASTer board. And like I said before, we will discuss the interest-bearing account options at the next meeting. And that's all I have to report.
Great, thank you very much. I didn't realize it was Angelica's first official. Great, congratulations. You've been here so long. Thank you, Angel. Okay, we're on item 12, WaterMaster Engineers Report. Arden?
Thank you. So I'm going to share my screen real quick and get started on that. All right. So, and then display setting. Here we go. Can y'all see this? All right, does it look ready?
We can see the screen.
Okay, excellent, perfect. So I wanted to provide a summary of new production and qualified small pumpers. There was a 2.05 acre foot increase from the last meeting. That's because we approved a 1.5 acre foot application, a 0.3 and a 0.25 acre foot application. Any questions about this?
No, very good, thanks.
All right, on to the next item, the Little Rock Creek Storage Agreement. So the WATERMASTer engineer team has written a memo reviewing the application and considerations for it, and council has developed a draft storage agreement. And so we passed these on to the, and I misspelled, Antelope Valley State Water Contractors Association. And so they're reviewing this and will let us know if there's any feedback or questions. But we're hoping that this will be able to be considered in the September board meeting next month. So any questions on this?
Any questions? No, we're good, Arden. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And then I just have a few additional WaterMaster engineer updates, including the subsidence study that I brought up earlier. So the first one is just general updates. We submitted the annual report to DWR. So that is all done on our end. And then I'm sure council will report on submitting it to the court. So glad to have that fully wrapped up. And we've also begun receiving carryover storage agreements. And so we've received 3 so far. 2 of those have unknown use and will not require material injury analysis, and 1 of them will. So we're hoping that those will also be able to be included in the September board meeting. And want to note that for the one that material injury analyses should factor in subsidence for these. Which takes me to the next item, which is bringing up identifying the need for a subsidence study. And this is something that the board had brought up in the May meeting, recommending that, maybe we need an additional study to understand what's going on better with subsidence, and especially in the Central Antelope sub-area. From an engineering perspective, there are characteristics of subsidence that really varies in each basin and depends on both the geology in the area, how thick are the clay layers, what depths do they occur in compared to the depths that wells are pumping, and their distribution. And this can impact how subsidence occurs in its relationship with water levels. Some of the things that would be really helpful to understand is there's this concept of critical head, which is the water levels that really trigger subsidence when water levels are below a certain point, and understanding what that subsidence looks at, like what's the lag time or residual subsidence that occurs. Is a lot of the subsidence that we have seen, is that just delayed residual subsidence from the past, or is that because water levels are at a point where it's continuing? How might potential pumping in and around the area prone to subsidence impact it? And are there specific depths where we have to be more careful with pumping because they're more likely to contribute to subsidence when there's a lot of pumping in that area at those depths? And then what are we seeing that's elastic subsidence, where, there are periods where it might subside more but then recover, versus inelastic subsidence, where once the clay is smushed down, they're going to stay smushed. And this is also helpful for mitigation. And this would be, examples would be if we're identifying a subset of monitoring wells that help us have an early warning sign of when subsidence might be prone to be occurring for inelastic subsidence, and also helpful to develop a targeted mitigation plan. Are there certain areas that we want to really prioritize for decreasing production, or certain depths that we want to prioritize wells to decrease production if subsidence is occurring or we have warning signs that is going to be exacerbated? This being said, this really needs to be a separate scope outside of the general WaterMaster engineering services. We have the budget to do our general WATERMASTER engineering work throughout the year, but this would be an additional effort. So if the board gives us directions, we would be happy to prepare a scope and budget. But I want to hear what the board has to say and what y'all's directions are. Thanks.
Board?
Well, I'll just comment, I have to say, subsidence is a very topic, and I think we should definitely look further into it, just for the health of our basin. So I think a study would be beneficial in many ways.
Caroline?
I'm really interested in understanding scope and budget. I mean, this can be extremely broad and may not be necessary, but I don't disagree that it could be valuable. I think it really is dependent on the scope and budget. The other thing I think, Arden, that I'd really like to understand is understanding how this goes beyond what we're doing with USGS. So this should be complementary. I don't want to redo things. I don't want to go in the wrong direction. So I think it's very important that we understand the scope before, our potential scope before making a comment beyond whether I think it's necessary or not. I think the other thing is how wide is the analysis going to be? And we talk a lot about sub-basin, but as we know, the way these things are adjudicated, we're looking at an entire basin. And so I want to understand from the engineer what their proposal is in terms of scope, not just in the study, but actual geographic scope of the area. So those are my initial thoughts.
Great, thank you. Barry?
Yeah, I agree with both the other board members. I just think, you know, although we're adjudicated basin, we're not through Sigma. If you're involved in any of those, you know how important it is to the state for critical infrastructure, for, you know, material injury, you know, for small communities and everything else that we have significant representation here. So I think this is super important, and we don't want to end up having a conversation with any of those, you know, legislative groups before, you know, we're being proactive. So I think with the two comments from the other board members, I support us really investigating this and looking at it.
Great, thanks. Kathy, comments?
Okay, I agree with all the previous comments, and I think we would be doing our due diligence to investigate it.
Yeah, and then my final comment, I think it's critical that we do a study like this. I agree with all the board members. Let's find out what the scope is. We should, you know, we've been adjudicated over 10 years now, or about 10 years. We should be the example to the state, and I think we are in many ways. And this is just the next step I think we need to take to make sure that our basin is healthy and well. And as a AVAC board member, one of our mission statements is making sure that we have, you know, a healthy basin for our future generations. And this is a step forward for that. So I think you got pretty unanimous support, Arden, to at least bring back to us the scope of work and what you think initially the budget would be for it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe just on scope of work, Arden, are you thinking about how it's being approached in other basins that are under the Sigma purview?
Yes, so in our approach, we would in general follow the best practices that DWR identified, and to the extent that they're applicable to the basin. I think we have a little bit more information because we have stopped or slowed subsidence significantly that we can build on. I think also in developing the scope of work, looking at some of the work that Chino Basin has done, and the things that they've looked at and success that they've had for that. But, you know, really thinking about what's being done in other basins, what are the recommendations that DWR has, and what's the most applicable to this basin.
Thank you.
Very good. Will you be able to come back our next meeting with a proposal?
Yes. And I believe this cannot, I think Angel told me because this was not a formal agenda item, it can't be voted on next meeting. But
No, it could be voted on next meeting.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Then we can prepare this for next meeting.
I just want to point out, Mr. Chair, that it could be voted on, but it's quite important that it be submitted in a certain time frame. So I would like the opportunity for everybody to be able to view it and opine so that we can take those considerations. We need time to review.
Actually, personally, I would like to see it just be submitted for discussion at our next meeting.
Okay.
So we would have input into maybe the scope's too big, or maybe it's too small, or we want other things involved, and not be pressured, and also giving the advisory committee time to weigh in on it, look at it, and then give their comments, and then the next meeting after that be an action item would be my preference. Would that work for you?
That would, thanks.
Okay. Everybody okay? That seems to be the consensus, Arden. If you can come up with your proposal scope and budget, what it's going to entail, be able to have a discussion with us, with the public, have a proposal ready for the advisory committee. Potentially, I think we could take the expense, this is a big deal, to have you available for the advisory committee to do, if the board would agree with that, to do a kind of a run through of your proposal there, get their comments, come back here for discussion and public comment, and then be ready for the next meeting after that for vote. Would that work for you, Arden?
Yeah, that works for me. So I'll plan to have that ready for the advisory committee packet and then be there at the next advisory committee meeting.
Great. I think that's our consensus. And Angel, if you could make that all happen.
Yes, will do.
I had one more comment.
Please.
So I want to kind of reference Director Yurasik's comment, and I agree. So I know you've already heard this from him, but Arden, but although we are not under Sigma, I do sit on a Sigma board, and there is there's lots of guidance there. So I think it would be important for us and for everyone to understand the recommendations that I know that you're very well aware of, Arden, and kind of the established standards for these studies and this kind of look, because that is, in alignment with accepted methodology. And I think that would help us as a team understand the appropriateness of scope, if you're able to share with everybody kind of the other best practices that are happening around the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, happy to do that. And that's a great suggestion.
Very good discussion. Okay, Arden, I think you have our direction, so go for it. I think now, are you done with your report?
One last item for the engineer update, which is just that I wanted to share that I'm going to be presenting next month at the Western Groundwater Congress, just a little summary of the processes that Antelope Valley Adjudicated Basin has around evaluating material injury for applications. And this is really in the same line of thinking as some of y'all discussed as an adjudicated basin. We have been tackling challenges that many of the Sigma basins are now tackling. And so there was interest that has come up from folks in Sigma basins about trying, as they are facing potentially reviewing well permit applications, to learn a bit about what's going on in other basins. So I wanted to share that I'm planning to present this and see if there's any questions about it.
Any questions?
Could you share a little bit more about what you'll be presenting, Arden, there?
Yeah. So really going through the process of, we need to review new production applications, new point of extraction applications, and transfer applications, and evaluate the impacts to surrounding wells, Are they in areas with risks of subsidence? And just sort of walk through the potential issues that, from the engineering perspective, that we look for in those.
So you'll be sharing our methodology with this group?
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
correct.
I think it's just important that in sharing that, as long as it's information sharing, I think it's very important to not opine on any endorsement or, to that methodology. I think that's very critical thing to distinguish. So can you assure us that you're just presenting what we do here and not advocating?
Yes, I'll just give a summary of what we do here. And also, when I discussed this with Rob and council, we agreed not talking about future plans, things that are in process, not going into, for example, carryover storage agreements. We're still in the process of beginning to implement that, but focusing on summaries of past work that's been done.
Yeah, I think that's really important, Aaron, because to your point, we're still evolving ourselves. So I think it's great that people are trying to learn from each other. We're recommending the same thing when you're looking at giving us a scope for the study, but it's very important not to promote a certain methodology, especially when, well, one, we don't know their base or what's happening there. And what works for us. But then in addition, we are still evolving, and this board shouldn't be committed to a certain methodology in the future.
Yeah, that's great feedback.
Thank you.
And Arden, I had a question. Is this open to the public?
This is, but it is a conference that I think you need to be registered to attend.
Right, but it is open to other water agencies.
Yes, anyone who wants to attend the conference is welcome to attend.
Okay, great. And is it a one-day conference, or do you know?
The conference is from the 28th through the 30th.
And you're presenting on the 29th?
Yes, correct.
Okay, super. Thank you very much.
And Arden, I'm happy to look at any preview of the presentation if it would help. I'd like to keep the legal consistency of our position clear. So if that's helpful, you can do that some days before the presentation, I'd be happy to take a look at it.
Excellent, thank you.
Very good. Anything else, Arden?
That's all I've got. Thank y'all.
Good report. Thank you. Greg?
Yeah, it's going to be covered in a pretty robust closed session today.
Robust closed session. Galen, your first closed session is going to be robust. Who knew? Very good.
The only other thing I might mention, because it's not agendized, it came to my attention in the last week or so that there's been discussions between AVEC and Palmdale Water District about the calculation of imported water return flows, credits, and whether it's being done according to the judgment. And I just note that for the board. We may want to give an opinion of that situation, and I'm happy to do it. I just will need your support to go forward with that. I can't articulate more what the nature of the disagreement is, other than there is a disagreement about what the judgment is being complied with on that area. And I'm happy to do that, but I don't have it as an agendized item for approval at this point.
Yep. Matt, why don't you kind of explain to us what's going on and clarify and see if it's an item we should put on the agenda?